This is Mr. W speaking to all my fellow investigators out there. I invite you to leave behind what you think you know. Close your eyes, let the static of the world fade, and follow me into a story that brushes the edge of reality. Tonight, we delve into a program shrouded in mystery, a name whispered in certain circles, allegedly representing a clandestine government operation dealing with the unidentified, Immaculate Constellation. The name itself is intriguing, perhaps even a little humorous, as some sources suggest. But what does it mean? The prevailing interpretation, described by one individual, breaks it down simply. Immaculate means clean, and constellation refers to stars in the night sky. Put them together, and you get a program whose purported function is to get first access to military sensor data. If any unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, are captured in that data, they are immaculately scrubbed out of the picture or removed from the data stream. The goal? To prevent these unsightly UFOs from ruining otherwise pristine images of the constellations. It's a concept suggesting a capability to detect, quarantine, and transfer UAP and ARV, Alien Reproduction Vehicle, collection incidents before they are observed and circulated within the military intelligence enterprise, effectively serving as a means of enforcing internal information security. How do we even learn about this alleged program? It reportedly came to light through the testimony of a whistleblower, an individual with a background working within the sensitive confines of the United States government, including areas like weapons of mass destruction and national security. This individual held clearances and had access to highly sensitive, compartmentalized information systems. Their exposure to Immaculate Constellation was apparently accidental. While performing duties sorting misfiled documents on a shared server within the Office of the Secretary of Defense, OSD, they came across a file labeled something like 2018 Shriver Wargame Brief. There was nothing immediately alarming about the name. Wargame briefs are often quite mundane. But upon opening the file, things quickly grew strange. After a generic title slide, the second slide reportedly featured the face of Lou Elizondo. Accompanying text described Immaculate Constellation as an Unacknowledged Special Access Program, a USAP, allegedly established after the public exposure of a tip in 2017 by former USDI officer Lou Elizondo. While not explicitly detailing the program's full mission on that slide, the document as a whole, reportedly between 12 and 15 pages, implied a core function. This implied mission? Global intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance for UAPs and ARVs. It seemed the brief was intended to piece together the mission through examples rather than stating it outright. The examples themselves were riveting and deeply anomalous. One incident described a large black triangle floating directly above several Russian naval intelligence vessels in the Pacific Ocean at night. The image, taken from near the waterline, possibly by a clandestine submersible asset, showed the triangle in green infrared. The object was large, comparable in size to the ships below it. Crucially, the text indicated no visible reaction from the Russian vessels to what should have appeared as a hostile approach. Analysis within the document suggested the Russian Navy had foreknowledge of the vehicle's appearance and were specifically in that area to collect on or interact with it. Another instance mentioned a smaller, more angular black triangle observed above a different Russian intelligence vessel, this time in the Atlantic, also at night and in infrared. This object was described as hovering and matching the ship's speed. The brief also reportedly included incidents involving orbs. One account detailed a low-altitude intrusion by a small, spherical UAP near a sensitive facility on the seaboard at night. Other examples showed orbs transiting from coastal facilities out to the ocean. These orb sightings were apparently captured by assets tasked for other purposes, essentially catching them by chance. There were also reports of metallic orbs intercepting F-22 fighter jets during a CONUS air surveillance and control mission, forcing the F-22s out of the mission area. And another report mentioned a satellite image of a football field-sized flying saucer hiding in clouds. The whistleblower, upon first reading this, experienced significant cognitive dissonance. The initial thought was that it might be a joke, a prank document, or perhaps a simulation for a war game designed to test a desired capability. However, The document bore the unmistakable hallmarks of sensitive, compartmentalized material. Following their training, the whistleblower attempted to report the spillage. The first attempt, with an immediate supervisor, reportedly resulted in being told to simply delete the file, a clear deviation from procedure. A subsequent attempt, escalated to a higher level, led to a meeting with a Special Access Program control officer. Despite showing the officer the document, including the slide featuring Lou Elizondo, the officer allegedly dismissed it as a joke and stated there was no need to sign any paperwork, essentially implying the incident didn't happen. The file was reportedly gone from the server immediately after this meeting. This experience, combined with other observations, including reading transcripts of briefings given by Sean Kirkpatrick to senators, which the whistleblower felt distorted and lied about the situation, particularly concerning a legacy program, solidified their belief that the phenomenon was real and a cover-up was actively underway. Senator Rubio's reaction in the transcript, questioning if the executive branch had been running such a program for 60 years without congressional oversight, was particularly impactful. The structure of these secret programs is often described not as a single entity, but as a constellation of individual programs or stovepipes within the USAP world. Different parts of the government, like the intelligence community or defense research offices, serve as gatekeepers for these various compartments. Adding another layer of complexity, some sources suggest that the collection and sanitization process might involve advanced systems, possibly artificial intelligence, siphoning off data to keep it compartmentalized, preventing general access even within the intelligence community. This capability, potentially linked to programs like the National Reconnaissance Office's Ascension program, was believed to have been operational years before 2018. It's described as a Janus, a two-faced entity that takes information in one end and ensures only the approved product comes out the other, tailored to what someone is cleared for and has a need to know. So, why such extreme secrecy? While protecting advanced technology is a common justification, the whistleblower reportedly felt the reason was more profound: the answer to the question of whether humanity is alone. Keeping this fundamental truth hidden, they argued, comes at the cost of human dignity, freedom, and progress. But is it even possible for the government to maintain such a high level of secrecy, hidden even from congressional oversight? Skeptics point to leaks like Snowden's or Vault 7 as evidence that such extraordinary secrets are unlikely to remain buried. The sheer bureaucracy of government operations also seems to weigh against it. However, historical precedent and existing bureaucratic mechanisms for establishing highly secretive programs with limited oversight suggest that, while perhaps improbable, it's not entirely outlandish. Some describe the secrecy apparatus as all-pervasive, operating as a parallel reality that has deeply infiltrated various aspects of society. Let's pause for a moment, fellow investigators, and consider some of the more speculative angles raised in the sources, particularly regarding the names themselves and the nature of the phenomena described. The very name, Immaculate Constellation, along with mentions of zodiac and connections drawn to concepts like Immaculate Conception and even religious figures or events like the miracle at Fatima, introduce an esoteric or religious undertone. While some might dismiss this as mere wordplay or the personal beliefs of those in charge, others see a deeper, perhaps symbolic, meaning tied to the mission or the nature of the phenomena being tracked. Could these names, or the phenomena themselves, hint at something beyond conventional understanding? The description of UAPs materializing or decloaking seemingly out of nowhere, or suddenly disappearing, their ability to defy known physics, and their apparent correlation with sensitive locations like nuclear sites, all push the boundaries of our current scientific understanding. The concept of an alien reproduction vehicle, or ARV, might even imply a process of recreation or manifestation that goes beyond simply reverse engineering a physical craft. What if these phenomena are not merely extraterrestrial craft from distant galaxies, but something even stranger, something perhaps from another dimension? An interdimensional hypothesis could potentially account for the seemingly impossible appearances and disappearances, the lack of visible propulsion, the ability to pass through solid objects. Though not explicitly stated in sources, it's a common aspect of such theories, and their potential connection to specific energy signatures or locations. The unusual naming conventions could then be interpreted metaphorically or symbolically, referencing not just stars in the sky, but perhaps other realms or planes of existence. While the sources do not explicitly use the term interdimensional, the descriptions of events and the speculative discussions around names certainly leave the door open to possibilities beyond conventional physics. Of course, skepticism is a vital tool for any investigator. As noted in the sources, some argue that government program names are intentionally random and meaningless to prevent adversaries from gleaning information. They might view the Immaculate Constellation report itself with suspicion, seeing the name as too suggestive and therefore potentially indicative of a hoax. Some commenters openly dismiss the report and the broader UAP topic as mythology or a product of overactive imagination. The path to verifying such extraordinary claims is fraught with difficulty. The whistleblower's attempts to follow official channels and report the information to Congress reportedly met with frustration and perceived resistance. It wasn't until the whistleblower compiled a detailed report and submitted it for a formal pre-publication review at the State Department, receiving a one-sentence approval, that the information was eventually able to reach the public domain through journalists. The story of Immaculate Constellation, whether interpreted as a literal secret program, a metaphorical representation of government secrecy, or something else entirely, highlights the deep chasm between what is known, what is officially disclosed, and what might be hidden in the shadows. The accounts of strange phenomena, the mechanisms of secrecy, and the struggles of those who attempt to bring such information forward paint a complex and often unsettling picture of our reality. Fellow investigators, we are left with profound questions. If such a program exists, what is its true scope? What is the ultimate nature and origin of the phenomena it tracks? And perhaps most importantly, in a world where such extraordinary information could potentially be hidden, what else might we be missing? What else might exist just beyond the veil of our everyday perception, waiting to be discovered?